So, the 2024 QB class, where do I start? So, there's a lot that's been said about this class. Generational, deep. A lot of teams are going to be looking for the quarterback from the future from this class. And there is a lot to like. I think this class is interesting. I really do. I think there are a lot of good options in this class, but there's concerns. Like last year's class, going into the draft, I was sold. It was CJ Stroud, it was Anthony Richardson. Those were my guys, and I really loved them. A quick thing about Richardson, it's like a lot of people just look at him as like this running quarterback, but he's really smart. He's got a really good processor. He's a really quick thinker, and you could just see him over the course of his college starts, just like exponentially getting better and smarter and making faster decisions. And it's like he was like a supercomputer almost, and you could just see him elevating. And he's not a running quarterback who throws, he's a quarterback who runs. And I think this year there's not a lot of quarterbacks like mental thinkers, mental processors, anticipatory throwers, and I think that's a problem that not a lot of people are looking at. So basically, to get into what I'm really thinking, not to bury the lead, is this class isn't as good as a lot of people are thinking it is. Where people are thinking it is. I think that the top of the class has a lot of strong qualities, but there's a lot of possible pitfalls here that could really make their transition to the NFL like really tough. Like Caleb Williams, for one. Absolutely insane. He's my number one arm talent in the class. He's got the best footwork in the class. His shoulders, feet, hands are always connected. He's got great pocket mobility. And then he could do some things on the field that's like absolutely insane. Like there's no doubt about it. Like the throws that he can make, the way that he can contort his body, it's up there like with as everyone has said before, the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes. All that stuff is really, really real. But the problem, and I think it also has to do with the offenses that he and others were running, I didn't see a lot of anticipatory throws, and like that was the key with Stroud. And even Richardson, even Young. I mean, even Levis, who I didn't really like. I liked his junior tape, didn't like his senior tape. But then right before the draft, I looked at him a little bit more. I was like, there's something there. And with this class, not just Caleb, but with almost all these quarterbacks, except for a scarce few who are going to go later, I don't see a lot of anticipatory throws. He doesn't have the best peripheral vision. Like in Madden, how that the QB cone, which was a horrible idea in the game, but it's a good analogy here because, like in reality, if the QB cone existed, and this is just what I see, like Stroud's QB cone is like wide, and I think Caleb's QB cone is like medium. Like if he's looking this way, he can't really see the backside. He can't anticipate it, and he misses some wide open guys sometimes. But he's clearly QB1. Like ball placement, really good to like pretty good to really good. He understands leverage well. There's not a lot of downsides with him. Like he's gonna be the clear QB1. I really like him. Jayden Daniels. Like so, this is gonna be the first one where there's some, it gets kind of shaky already at QB2. So this is kind of how I feel about the class. Like there's some real concerns. For fantasy, I think Jayden Daniels, as long as he stays healthy, and that is a big question because not only is he slight frame, he thinks he's Cam Newton, and he will put himself in danger. So that is going to be a big concern, is his health. I'm afraid if he stays healthy as a fantasy asset, he's going to be really good. As a quarterback that generates wins for your team, I'm not so sure. He can go through his progression at times. He can. He can work 1 to 2 to 3 when the pocket is clean. But his first instinct, and I think in the NFL, I think in college when you're more comfortable, you're more able to do the right things, I would say. But in the NFL, especially as a rookie and when the game is the fastest before the game slows down for you, you're going to go to your first instincts. And Jayden Daniels' first instincts is first read and run. That's him. That's him on a piece of paper. You can't go through his progression, so I don't want to say he never goes through his progression. But if you put him on a lie detector test, or if you strip him down to his primal instincts on the football field, it's first read and then he's gone. He's gonna run. He's gonna take off. And that's good because he has good athleticism, but it limits your upside in like quarterback play, in my opinion. And his pocket, and this is another thing, his pocket mobility, and this is why he bails a lot, because his pocket mobility or his pocket management isn't that great, which is surprising for an athlete of his caliber, and he really is a very good athlete. But those micro movements in the pocket that Anthony Richardson showed, like this one clip against Tennessee, where he's just navigating, sliding, moving, and then finds an open man, keeps his eyes downfield. Jayden Daniels does not do that. He is going to get sacked a lot, way more often than you would think for somebody as athletic as he is. Like, he slides into pressure. Like, if he's not bailing and he tries to navigate, he's going to go into danger. He doesn't really have that feel to go to the open space, to climb when you're supposed to climb, to give the shoulder when you're supposed to give the shoulder, like the Joe Burrow. Now, he has good pocket management. Jayden Daniels does not. But what Jayden Daniels is accurate. He does have some misses, but largely is accurate. He's decisive. He's got a quick release. He's got good throw mechanics. He's got solid deep ball accuracy. And he will dice you up if you give him a clean pocket. And then if he is able to bail, forget about it. He is gone. My next quarterback. So this is controversial. A lot of people have Drake May 2. And then if you don't have Drake May 2, you've got Drake May 3. I don't have Drake May 3. I have J.J. McCarthy 3. And the only reason why I have J.J. McCarthy 3 and not 2 is because he never threw the ball, ever. Jim Harbaugh, Rip Justin Herbert. He never threw. Like, you're watching him, you're trying to watch his film, he's got like 5 throws a game. But those 5 throws, he's showing you some things. Like, he really is. Like, if you just combine all his throws, which would probably make up like 3 games worth of throws for the other quarterbacks, and you just pretended that was one game, he'd have the most consistent and the second best tape out of everyone in the class. Like, his ball placement, his mechanics are so fluid and clean. He's the most accurate, I think, quarterback in the class. He's got some underrated zip on his throws. He got velocity. People don't talk about J.J. McCarthy. I got a big arm, but he can zip it in there. He is so confident. He can fit it in the tight windows. He understands leverage better than anybody else, like where the defender shade is, where he could place the ball so his wide receiver can grab it. His pocket mobility is solid. He's not a bad athlete. They use him to run. He can move. He is a little mobile. He does have decision-making issues at times. He can make some blunders, serious blunders, but I really like watching him. He's the closest thing to what I would want as a quarterback. You just don't really know, because it's like, why didn't he throw? Did they not trust him to throw? Or is Jim Harbaugh just like, we're not throwing? And, people are like, he must not be good because they handed it off to Blake Corum every time. And maybe that's true, but I think there is some validity to just the fact that he was just doing what he was told. And it was like, when they asked him, so let's say first down, bad play, first down, second and 8, second down, no run, no gain on the run. It's 3rd and 8. Hey, JJ, bail us out with a nice throw. He bails him out with a nice throw. Like, when he's called on, most of the time, he's making a good throw. And so I really like him. You know, he's physical. He's not afraid of contact, which is good for his size. But they just don't ask him to do that much. You know, it's hard to tell like how good his deep ball accuracy is or how good his long arm strength. Like, he has velocity, but I don't really know about his long arm strength because they don't really ask him to gun it, to throw it deep. I like that he's a multiple arm slot thrower like Caleb Williams. Like the quintessential Matthew Stafford. He can throw it from different arm angles, 3/4, 3/4, almost submarine style. He also is really good at contorting his body. He kind of reminds me of Bryce Young. At the way his rotational athletic skills, how he's able to bend his body in short, quick bursts in order to get the ball and deliver accurately. He's accurate on the run as well. If you get him outside the pocket, his accuracy does not go down. But, you know, he's not really asked to go through a progression, so I can't speak on that. He's not asked to be an anticipatory thrower, so I can't really speak on that. But I still think there's a lot to like about him, and he's going to be a really interesting one to watch. He is my QB3. My QB4 is what everybody was waiting for, is Drake May. So I'll get right into it, and I'll start with what I really like about Drake May. Good athlete, good competitor, can gun it deep. And he's got some really nice wild throws, and he's not afraid. He loves him a deep ball, and he knows he's got a good deep ball, and he can gun it. But where I hesitate on saying he's got the best arm in the class, well, he doesn't. It's Joe Milton. He's got a bazooka, okay? But where I struggle with comparing him to the big arms of before, I see him more as Baker Mayfield type arm strength. Like, Baker Mayfield always year over year has the longest air yard throw of the season. But people don't really talk about him as having a big arm, but he does. But I separate arm strength in two different types of categories. It's arm velocity and then arm distance. Those are two different things, and they always aren't together. So, for example, Stetson Bennett, really good arm velocity. Like, if they radar gun Stetson Bennett, he's going to be at the top. But arm distance, not that much. And then some people have a lot of arm distance, which is what I think Drake May is, but not a lot of arm velocity, and that's due to his mechanics. His throwing motion is baseball, like, it's long, it's winded, it's windy, and so he has to get it out, and he can't. I don't think Drake, when you say strong arm, but I don't think he can really fit it into tight windows. Like, if he sees something and he wants to throw it, and it's like two defenders converging onto a spot, I don't think he can get it in there. And I also think he knows he can't get it in there, so he doesn't really throw. He's not the most confident thrower on intermediate throws and tight windows. And I think that's due to the fact that his windup is long. He's not an anticipatory thrower, and his accuracy is inconsistent. And under pressure, his arm strength also falls off. Like, if there's people sitting around, now he'll stand in and take the hit and throw. But if there's people in and around his feet, because of his throwing mechanics, his arm strength doesn't translate as much. Like, there's a little bit of a fall off there, and then the accuracy falls off a cliff. But he is a good athlete. He's big, he's strong, he's at the prototypical size. My questions would be, how well does he read the game? How good is his accuracy? Like, which is, well, I'll tell you, it's not good. And then, how consistent can he be drive over drive? Like, I think, his throws, like first down, out route, putting it in the stands. He's throwing it to the trainers and the water boys. It's some dude that's on a Peloton bike. Second down, throws it in the dirt, third down, guns a monster ball, 28-yard gain. That's kind of the Drake May experience. And then, that works for a couple, but I think there's going to be a lot of times when his inconsistent accuracy is, going to lead to inefficiencies in the offense, where I think Drake May, he needs to sit, he needs to work on his mechanics, he needs to work on how he deals with pressure. But, the tools are there. He's very toolsy. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with a toolsy quarterback, but the way that the media is describing him, it's like he's a refined product, and he's not a refined product. He's more like of a project. And that's my only problem. It's fine with taking a project, but he's not being advertised as such. He's being advertised as this completed plug and play guy that's immediately going to change your franchise. And that's not what I see when I look at Drake May. Now my QB5, this is when it's gonna get very interesting. This is where I deviate. I've already deviated, but I'm really gonna deviate here, and I'll keep these quick. So I'm gonna do quick hitters here. My 5, Spencer Rattler. I think he is really good. Now, I know the attitude put a lot of people off, but I really think he's grown and matured. I think his interviews show that he has a lot of remorse for how he handled the Oklahoma situation. And he lost his job to Caleb Williams, so QB1. So I don't think that that's the biggest knock. And then at South Carolina, he really shows some things. He's got a cannon, okay? And he's got a cannon no matter who's around him. There's this throw against Florida where he's got a defensive tackle in his chest and he throws a dot to Xavier Legette. Like, that is insane throwing. He's got his arm mechanic is so fluid. He's got great zip. He has the ultimate confidence. He's super decisive. He's super accurate as well. I think you put him in an offense with a coach that's really good, he's going to put up numbers. I'm sorry. I'm really high on Spencer Rattler. I think he's got really good upside because of how good his arm talent is. He doesn't really have that many flaws other than people don't like him. Like, he is a good quarterback. I'm sorry. He's my QB5. Solid. And I'm sticking with it. So that's going to be it for part 1. Stay tuned where I do my part 2 of this video, talking about the rest of my top 10.